and welcome back to Midnight Mumble Podcast Edition, episode number 16. I'm not alone this time. I've got a co-host.
Hello.
Oh my. A wild deer has appeared.
Oh, hi.
Hello.
Hello.
So we were going to talk about books this time around, and nobody left us any questions.
Boo-doo-dee-doo-dee-doo. Boing.
He's also my sound effects guy. The crowd goes wild.
Yes.
So we don't know what to talk about except for books. Would you like to start us off?
Okay. So, I've recently, within the last 2 years, started reading a lot more.
Oh.
The trick is that I read in audiobook form. Because at work, I have the ability to listen to audiobooks while I'm working. So that way I can, work on stuff and be entertained, which is always a plus. And, I'm listening to books, so that's something interesting. So I started off with, I think, The Lord of the Rings and The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, because, well, back in college I listened to those as well, and I liked them, so I thought I'd listen to them again. And then I think I listened to the Harry Potter books, which is ones that I also had listened to before because they're really good audiobooks. They're read by Stephen Fry. They're awesome. And then I did a couple of other things that I didn't really get into, but a couple of my friends had really recommended the Discworld books. So I started listening to the Discworld audiobooks, and I am hooked on the Discworld.
See, I thought you'd known about these books a little longer than that.
No, honestly, I the first time I listened to them was 2 years ago.
That is so funny.
If that. It was less than that, actually. I think it was, let's see, probably about this time last year when I first listened to the Discworld audiobooks.
Huh. It's an anniversary!
Bro!
The fun thing about it is, you've listened to what? Almost all of them? All of them?
I have listened to all of them twice.
So now he's got some fancy collector's edition books.
Yeah, a publisher called, I believe, Gollenz, published them in association with the Discworld Emporium website, to make these Discworld Collector's Library Edition books. So they're all the same size, the same style. Each one of them has a different color cover with nice artwork and foil on it, so it's all glittery and shiny.
They're so cool.
If you've ever gone to a Barnes and Noble where they have the table of the classic books with the fancy covers that are glittery and whatnot, they look like those except smaller.
They're so cool.
They look fantastic.
I'm jealous. The funny thing is, he got me started into it. So when he was down here visiting, we went and got some of them, and then he surprised me with some more later on, and I was noticing one of them is shorter than the other three. So I'm like, you need to get out of here. You don't match.
For the uninitiated, I am her boyfriend.
That should probably have been, informed
Preface.
earlier.
Yes.
It has been mentioned a few episodes, but I don't.
Yes.
I probably should have been like, "Hey, guess who the co-host is? Is the boyfriend?"
He's me. Anywho, so yes, I rather insisted that she get into the books because I enjoy them so much, and they are a goofy sense of humor, which I know she enjoys. So
Love my comedy.
yes.
Everybody.
So I got her the first 4 books. Actually, the funny thing is, when I was down there, I got her the second 2, so numbers 3 and 4, and then I got home and ordered books 1 and 2 for her.
Yep.
So
That's funny.
she's got those, and she got like a couple of pages into the first book.
I got maybe like I don't know, not
A
too
couple of pages into the first book.
not too far.
And then, well, probably you know that she gets headaches.
Everybody knows this.
Yeah. She gets headaches.
It's common
So,
knowledge by now.
One day, when she had a headache, I'm like, how about I read this book to you?
And now
So-
it's kind of a thing.
Yeah, I read her Discworld books.
We got through the first book, we got through the second book, and now we're on the third book.
Yep, we're about a third of the way in.
They are quite fun, though. I really do enjoy them.
Yes,
And it helps when somebody does voices for each of the characters.
yes, I do the voices. And, like, I've listened to the audiobooks, so I have, you know, voices that I try to match, because I like the voices of the characters that they use in the audiobooks.
I was about to say, so he does the voices in the audiobooks. Is he consistent with it?
I try. In the audiobooks, they're always consistent. They're always very consistent.
That's good.
Um,
Highly professional.
they're professionals, yes.
Yes. I
Um,
get paid to read dramatically to you.
yes.
That would be fun to do.
But for those who don't know, the Discworld books are a series of novels written by Sir Terry Pratchett, who passed away this past March. There are 41 books currently published. There is another book. No, there are 40 books currently published. There's another one on the way, coming this September, called The Shepherd's Crown, and is the fifth, I think, in the series of Tiffany Aching books.
Oh.
The interesting thing about the Discworld is that it is a world in which Pratchett wrote stories. So there are a bunch of different sub-stories within the overarching story. So you can read like 5 or 6 of the Discworld books without reading any of the other Discworld books, and it's perfectly fine.
It throws me for a loop because everybody knows I like to read chronologically.
Yes. Now you can read them. If you do read them chronologically, that means that you'll catch all of the side references, which is fantastic. But you don't have to read all of them.
Unless you're like me.
Yes. In fact, I had forgotten that a couple of years ago, my mother had brought me a copy of Thud, which is one of the later Discworld books, for me to read, and I kind of looked at it, but I didn't actually start reading it. But now, you know, I'm reading them, and Thud's a really good book.
That's funny. Out of all the books, which one's your favorite?
Oh, let's see.
Or which is your favorite, like, story based off of one of the characters?
Okay, that is a little easier. With okay, my favorite character in the Discworld series is probably Death. Death is a fantastic character.
Ah, yes, he is.
And the best Death book is probably The Hogfather. The quick summary of The Hogfather, out of context, Death and his granddaughter have to save Christmas. That's the story.
That is funny.
It is fantastic. It is really good. Now, in the Discworld universe, Christmas is called Hog's Watch, but it's practically the same holiday.
Oh.
And instead of leaving out cookies for cookies for Santa and water for the reindeer, you leave pork pies and brandy for the Hogfather, and turnips for the 4 boars that pull his sleigh.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's a great book. That's really good.
I can't wait to get to that one.
Yeah, it's on the shelf right over there.
I can't see it from here.
We've got it's book number 20.
Oh, jeez.
So
I
it's
see.
the second to last one that I own. See, I'd mentioned the library collection earlier. Unfortunately, they only have the publishing rights for the first half of the series.
Which is awful.
Yeah, so now I've got, half of a series on my shelf and no knowledge as to whether or not I'll be able to get to the second half in the same style.
Hopefully.
Yeah. But as for the best book, I think that either Thief of Time or um, Going Postal probably the best books.
Fantastic.
Thief of Time is a really great story, and Going Postal is also a really great story and probably the funnier of the two.
Aha! That'll probably be my favorite of the two.
Going Postal, not Going Postal, Thief of Time has some interesting um, sort of analysis of humanity, which is done in Terry Pratchett's fantastic, sort of quirky style that is extremely well executed.
Yes. Let's see. I can't pick a favorite yet because I've only heard 3, and we're not even done with the third one.
So far, who are your favorite characters?
Oh, that's kind of easy. I really like Two Flower from the first 2 books. The luggage, of course, was hilarious.
Yes.
And I really like, in the 3rd book, the witch Granny Weatherwax.
Yes, of
She's
course.
so fun.
She gets better. She gets way better.
I can't wait.
So I will explain. Two Flower is one of the first characters that you meet in the Discworld series. He is the Discworld's first tourist. And so he thinks that everything will be fine and has an extremely positive view on life. And he just wants to take pictures and see stuff and go around.
It's hilarious. Just, you can imagine this guy walking around the Discworld and everybody's looking at him like he's insane.
Mm-hmm. And the luggage is his luggage.
Mm-hmm.
It's a chest. But unlike most chests, it has thousands of little legs and can stand up and walk around, and it kind of has a belligerent sort of personality.
It does, which makes it fun.
Yes. And Granny Weatherwax is a very powerful witch from the mountains.
Yep.
Backpedaling a ways, the Discworld itself is a magical world.
Yep.
It consists of a disc-shaped world, perfectly flat, except for, mountains and things, with a spire of green ice in the center on which legend says live the gods of the Discworld. Now, this disc, with its tiny circling sun and moon, is in fact in its whole held on the backs of 4 elephants, which in turn stand on the back of a colossal turtle, which flies through space. The turtle's name is Great Atuin, the Star Turtle, and is, 10,000 miles long?
He's pretty big.
He's a big turtle.
He is a big turtle. It's just so cool how he thought up of that. It's like, it's a Discworld, but it's not just, this flat circular thing in space. It's on top of creatures.
Yep. It's one of those things that it makes you really wish that your mind could work that way.
Seriously.
Like, who comes up with these things?
Terry Pratchett, that's who.
And how does he pull it off so well?
Because he's got a great sense of humor and a very good imagination that he never let go.
He has a great sense of humanity. Like, he understands how people work. So, now, stories are a very important part of the series. Like, not just, of course, they're books, they need to have a story.
Right.
But within the books, the theme of stories is very important in the world itself. So, you'll have narrative threads that the characters are aware of, and they're like, okay, I know how this sort of story works, so we need to see it through.
Right.
Because we know how this sort of thing works. It's like a very, high-level example is the old adage, it's a 1 in a million chance.
Mm-hmm.
In the Discworld, 1 in a million chances happen 9 times out of 10. but it has to be exactly 1 in a million. So that's the trick. It's like, we need a 1 in a million chance. But yeah, it's a fantastic series of books. I would recommend them to anybody who has yet to read one of them.
Get on it, everybody.
Get on it. The first one is called The Color of Magic by Terry Pratchett. But there are a lot of places where you could start. Guards is a very good book, which I would recommend as a introduction. Let's see. Small Gods stands on its own pretty well. It's a story about the great god Om.
Ooh.
He appears to his he takes on a corporeal form to see his people, and he was expecting to appear as like a massive flaming bull, or like a giant falcon or something. He appears as a small tortoise with one blind eye.
Aww. That's adorable.
Because it turns out that he only has one actual believer. There's a whole nation based on him, but he only actually has one believer in the entire nation.
Wow.
So it's about and his one believer, Bruther.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's a really good book. Weird Sisters is one of my favorites as well. It's a witches novel.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's actually the next witches novel, so get ready for that.
Yay!
It's 2 books away?
Oh, it's so far away.
But the next book is Mort.
Which I can't wait.
Yes, Mort is mostly about death. That is to say, not, the physical death itself, but the anthropomorphic personification of death. So, long black cloak, scythe, could probably use a little more to eat.
It's fantastic.
Yes, those books, great. Like I said, I've been getting her to, listen to me read them.
Yep.
And I've been reading them myself. In fact, just the other day, when I got these nice books, it was just very recently that I got them, I sat down and read Guards. Also, I was doing a book club thing where we were reading Guards. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, I was reading The Color of Magic to Block. And at the same time, I was listening to another one of the Discworld books. So I was reading 3 Discworld books at the same time.
Oh my goodness. Talk about multitasking. It's like me whenever I pick up a book. I'm like, I could start this book. I don't feel like reading that one the next day. I want to read this one next day. I don't want to read either one of them. I want to read this one.
So usually I'll sit down and go through a series. That's the way I do it. Especially since I listen to the audiobooks.
Yeah. It's
like, okay, I'm listening to this audiobook series. So right now I'm listening to the Dresden Files.
Oh.
Which is, Dresden himself is a private detective who is also the world's only openly practicing wizard.
I'm not listening to anything. Well, that's not true. I'm listening to some podcasts, but I'm not listening to an audiobook.
Yeah. I listen to 1 podcast a week because I realized a while ago that I can't just listen to audiobooks because I'm going to run out of audiobooks that I'm interested in.
It's true.
So I need some replenishable media. So podcasts, new one every week.
It's true. They're also fun. Hence why I decided to do one.
See, a long time ago, I was thinking about doing a podcast. Well, it was suggested to me that I do a podcast, but I just couldn't think of anything to do a podcast about. So I'm not doing a podcast.
You do. Well, you're kind of doing one right
now.
Yeah.
Not supposed to read between the lines.
You're co-hosting, so it's technically not yours.
Exactly.
It's mine.
Yeah.
I lay all claim on this. This is mine. So, nobody left us any questions.
Nope.
We just have to like roll with it and go with it. So it's kind of.
So what were you reading?
Right now, I was reading Starliner by David Drake. It's interesting. I got maybe past chapter 2, I think. And then I kind of just didn't want to read it anymore. So I'm like, well, I want to read something. So I got some books like weeks ago. And one of the books is the prequel to a series called Shannara by Terry Brooks. One of the series that I've always wanted to start with. So, hey, prequel, let's buy it. It's only $2. So I got it. And right now I am on page 17.
Good job.
Yep.
So usually when I sit down and read to her, we get through more than that.
Well, that's because you're doing the reading.
Yes.
Probably.
She gets to...
If you were reading this, you would probably get us further than page 17.
Yep. That way you can poke around at internet things while I read.
Exactly. Or play a game. That doesn't really require much of my attention, because I've played it for 80 plus hours. A Rogue Legacy.
Oh, excuse me. I said Rogue Legacy.
Oh, pardon me. I don't know why I said that.
Yeah, so this is the first time that I've bought books in a long time. Because, I have a bookshelf. It's over there. And, got one shelf, which is currently more than half Pratchett. And the rest of it is, I've got my Monty Python DVDs up there, and a couple of other more like comedy books, just like writings by people. Like there are 2 oatmeal books, and
those are funny.
A book by Mike Nelson of Riff Tracks, and a book by Kevin Murphy of Riff Tracks, which are both just funny books. Above that, I've got most of my literature type books, which is about half Tolkien, but that includes multiple copies of some of the books.
Yep.
Because I've got, like, The Hobbit. I've got a pop-up book of The Hobbit.
Oh, wow.
I've got the Silmarillion. I've got the Atlas of Middle-earth, some other things about Middle-earth. I've got The Lord of the Rings in the nice, like, red leatherette-bound volume.
It's so fancy.
It is very fancy. I've got 3 copies of Fellowship, 2 copies of Two Towers, and 1 copy of The Return of the King, all hardback. And actually, most of them are the same edition, too.
I don't think I have anything that's a fancy book.
I have 2 copies of The Unfinished Tales. I've got 2... switching over to Douglas Adams. I've got 2 copies of The Complete Hitchhiker's Guide. Some other stuff. I've got H.P. Lovecraft collection. I've got a Sherlock Holmes collection.
Ooh. Oh.
I've got...
That's probably my fanciest book collection is the Sherlock Holmes. They're like leather bound. They're really nice. Yeah.
Let's see. I've got some old literature up there too.
Ooh.
I think I've got like a collection of Chaucer.
Wow.
I got it at a book sale once.
Loves
then
the
above
way
that,
old books look.
Yeah.
Just the feel and the smell. Ah.
I have a 1932 edition Atlas.
I have a dictionary that's from 1920s. My great-grandmother gave it to me. I'm like, I will treasure this for life. And I will.
But then above that, I've got a bunch of mostly informational books, like how-to stuff. I've got a couple of stories up there, like, I've got another collection of Sherlock Holmes. I've got 2 Warcraft books.
Ooh.
I've got 1 Warhammer 40K book.
See, that's a series I wanted to start into as well.
Which one?
Warhammer 40K. Just the whole
They're
storyline sounds really good.
they're pretty grim.
Well,
I
I
mean,
mean, it's like
it's
war.
interesting stuff, but it's pretty grim.
Aw.
Um, Not bad. It's just kind of grim. I listened to three, I think. Was it two or three Warhammer audiobooks?
Hmm.
It was the Horus Heresy, which is a important bit of lore in the storyline.
Ah.
It's like when like when the first section of Space Marines fell to chaos.
Ah.
So,
Cool.
and then the two Warhammer books that I have, not Warhammer, the two Warcraft books that I have,
Completely different.
two different things.
Yeah.
One of them is the I have three. Where's the third one? Huh. I just remembered that I have a third book. I just don't. It's not up there
That's
because I was
weird.
looking at them across the room. One of them is the story of Thrall, who is the head of the Horde in the time of World of Warcraft.
Ooh.
One of them is the story of the orcs of World of Warcraft, so it's sort of a prequel to the first game.
Oh.
It tells like this, like the culture of the orcs before they fell and became corrupted.
That's cool.
And then the third one is Tides of Darkness, so it's a novelization of the second game.
Ah. I have a few novelizations of like movies and stuff. Eh.
I at least used to have a novelization of the 1998 Godzilla movie.
Ooh. I look over and the way that I've got my paperback shelf arranged is it's full now. So now there's like this stack of paperbacks on like the lip of the bottom. So you can't really see what's on the bottom shelf, which is where all the novelizations and stuff are.
That actually reminds me of something. I saw somebody asking why some of the young adult books that Terry Pratchett wrote, like especially in like the Discworld series, why they're so dark and deal with such dark themes. But the thing is that Terry Pratchett never sank to the level of people who think that children should be protected from everything.
It's true. And
Because
I mean,
you don't want to train children to be children. You want to train children to be adults.
right.
So you have to give them adult themes. So, like, for example, the first Terry Pratchett Discworld young adult book that he wrote was The Amazing Maurice and His Educated Rodents. It's about a group of intelligent rats, their manager, who is a cat, and their stupid-looking kid.
That's funny.
Basically they run a Pied Piper scheme. They go to a town, and the rats run around, and they make a ruckus, and they piddle in the sugar bowl, and all that good stuff. And then the stupid-looking kid comes in with his flute, and people give him money to play his flute and have all the rats follow him away.
That's funny. I mean, not all young adult books are, all happy-go-lucky. I've read a few that are pretty dark and grim.
Yeah. So,
It makes it interesting.
in the Amazing Maurice, they talk about belief. They talk about values. They talk about cannibalism.
Yeah.
They talk about all kinds of stuff. I mean,
Cannibalism? What?
they're rats.
Oh,
Rats eat each other.
That's true.
Except for the green wobbly bit. Don't touch the green wobbly bit. It's really nasty. But I remember when I was in elementary school, I read Jaws.
You read Jaws?
The actual book, Jaws.
Oh, wow.
And there's some pretty adult stuff in there.
Uh-huh.
Um,
That's funny.
And I also read The Deep, which is another, what's his name? Who wrote Jaws?
Benchley?
Yes.
Yeah, like
Peter
Peter
Bench-
Benchley? Yeah.
Yeah, that's another one of his books. That
Ah.
also has to do with, underwater stuff.
Ooh.
And it's also pretty adult. I'm can't remember what the actual plot of it was, but I do remember some of the details. It was in elementary school.
Of course, it's true. It's so
Like
far away.
there was one scene where
He's such an
somebody
old
like
man.
had their mask on and whatnot. They were diving, and they started to like suffocate. Like, why is this happening? Well, it was because somebody had sabotaged the tank. Like when they were pressurizing the tank, they had
Yeah.
had a car running right in front of it, so the tank was filling with exhaust.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, so
Deep sea
that's
books are so much fun.
that's the scene that I remember. But like I said, the kids don't like kids that are like 10, 12 years old aren't reading books for 10, 12-year-olds. They're reading books for adults.
Yeah.
So again, if you're going to write a book for that demographic, you should make it so that it's maybe entertaining, maybe more lighthearted than some, but don't dumb down the story.
Well, no, because
You
then it
need to
won't
make
be as
sure that
good.
like all of like the content is there, just maybe don't use such foul language.
Yeah.
You allude to things more.
My water's empty.
I made sure to get water before we started.
It was like nearly full when we started. Now it's just like, pop, it's gone.
It's because I've been doing all the talking.
I know, right? Makes me thirsty. It's like, all this talking. Oh, there it goes.
I'm talking, so you have time to drink.
Exactly. See, I should be doing the talking, but I'm more of a collector of books and I want to write books. I don't really read them, which I
That's the
probably
trick,
should do.
though. I've got a
Yeah.
book up there called Stephen King on Writing.
See, I've always wanted to read that one, just out of
It's
curiosity.
now the first chunk of it, the part that I actually read of it, like I need to go back and look through it again,
Mm-hmm.
was about Steve. It was about Stephen King,
Huh.
and well, he was sort of autobiographical stuff talking about why he was interested in horror and some
That's
stuff
true.
about him. So it's interesting, but it doesn't really help.
Yeah.
But when he gets down to like talking about how to write and stuff, he's saying things like, well, you need to make sure that you do read so that you
That's
know
what all of them say, which is why I'm trying to get back into reading.
that's why I'm trying to read to you.
Exactly. It's sparking it ever so slowly.
Yeah, well,
I
because like a lot of times it's like I get done reading for the night and it's like I want to write fantasy now.
Yeah, because, I mean, I've always liked fantasy, though. I mean, the magic, and the cool terrain and stuff, the scenery, and, of course, the dragons, of course.
Of course, gotta have
Of course.
dragons.
It's just,
You're
I don't
gonna.
know.
I don't. We'll see how you like the dragons in Discworld,
It should prove interesting. I'm very open-minded with this stuff, though, so
because they do a different take on dragons.
it should be
Because I mean,
interesting.
you've seen the imaginary dragons,
Which I think are cool.
but those are not the real dragons in the Discworld.
It should prove interesting when we
Yes.
get there.
But also things like once like sit down and write your book. Just do it all in one go,
Yep.
and then put it in a drawer and let it sit for at least 6 weeks.
Yep.
And
way when you
don't
go
think
back
about it.
to
Don't
it-
look at it. Don't do anything.
That's why when you go back to it, you can be like, oh, this is awful. I need to fix this. I need to fix this. Instead of going, oh, but this was really good. Oh, this was really good.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which is why I did finish a short story and I put it off to the side and then I let my mom read it because she's kind of like my editor. And she's like, it was really good the first part, but then the second half, it kind of was like, eh. And I'm like, that's when I stopped writing it for a little while. So it's like, you can tell because I tend to forget what happened in the first half. So when I go back to it, I'm like, just type something. So I'm going to have to go back and redo that.
Reminds
And
me,
then-
I was gonna. I had a little notebook somewhere that I was
I
taking to
have
work with me.
Oh, for ideas.
Yeah, so I could jot stuff down in it, but I don't know what I did with it.
Mine's right there. I
'Cause
had
I've
to
got-
protect it this morning because it's
plenty
been
of notebooks.
raining. It's like I want to take it with me to work. I actually didn't end up using it at all, but yesterday, Friday, when I was at work, I'm like, I'm bored. Why didn't I bring my notebook with me? So today, I'm like, I'm bringing my notebook with me. Oh, it's raining. Just throw a jacket over it. It will be protected. But I didn't use it, of course. It's been really slow up at work, so I have time. I just didn't.
Well, with that kind of weather, you're not going to get a whole lot of patronage.
You'd be surprised. There are idiots about who decide, oh, tornado warning, I'm gonna go see a movie. It's like, what the heck? What are you thinking? You are not thinking. So it's
That's
like,
pretty dumb.
what was it? Thursday or Friday when it was really bad, the region leader sent an email out and he's like, hey, in case you know a tornado does happen, make sure you remember where all the patrons are supposed to go. It's like, what's funny is we went over this the week before or something with the interim GM. And she wasn't there that day that he sent the email. And when I was reading the email, I was like, wait, that's not what we're supposed to do. And she calls like 30 minutes later. She's like, did you see the email from him? I'm like, yeah, but about that. She's like, yeah, I don't know why he typed that. You know where to put them at. I'm like, yeah, I know where they need to go. So it's like, the region leader doesn't know what he's doing. It's like, why? You're going to make everybody do something wrong and stupid.
Oh, boy.
Although, thinking about it, because he said put them in the theater hallway. We don't really have a hallway the way ours is built. We've got the main hallway, which is a bad place to put anybody. And then, you've got the exit hallways and stuff in the theaters. Main theaters actually have, those hallways that go around into the stadium. So I'm thinking that's what he meant. Maybe. Because you're supposed to keep them in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
It's the safest place that holds a bunch of people. It's like, I don't know.
It's also the most structure there.
That's true. Because you got that and everything.
So anyway, books!
Books! We get
Books.
derailed! Welcome to my podcast. Choo choo.
So anyway, like I said, now I'm reading the Dresden Files, and I'm most of the way, I think, into the second book
Oh.
series. And it's good so far. Like, I'm enjoying the characters and how it's written. Because, like, they're murder mysteries that have to do with magic and stuff.
Which is pretty neat in itself.
Yep.
It's like, I used to read a lot of mystery books back when the library was, like, right across the road, and I would go, like, every week.
Mm-hmm.
In my big clunky van that I had. So it's like, I would always read, like, a new mystery book or something. And it was really fun. Because then it's one of those things where, will you figure it out before they end the book? I never could, though.
I mean, it's not necessarily a mystery all the time. It's just, an interesting story and then trying to figure out, like, how the characters are going to get out of the situations that they're in.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing. And, like, just the characters themselves and some of the situations are just fantastic. Other things are gruesome and dark. But a lot of the times it's really entertaining stuff. You get sort of cartoony moments that are done in a realistic way, which is interesting.
I wouldn't think that would actually work.
Like, you see, if you have a scene where, like, the author is one sentence away from having having the character run off the edge of a cliff, look down, hold up a sign that says mother, and then falling away.
Oh my goodness.
You see it, like, it's practically there. Like, if you look between the lines, you can barely just read it, but it's like...
That's funny.
Because you see the character, you know what the character's thinking. They're like, oh, and then fall.
You're like, why did you think that was a good idea? You need to look before you run. You can't protect
but there are,
your
in the first book, there were a couple of scenes that were just hilarious. That was one of them. There's another one that was funny for different reasons.
I'm gonna have to put this on my you must read these list. I think it was on, like, I don't know, because back when I went to the library, like, every week, I would just walk up and down the shelves like the aisle row, whatever. And I would look at the spines just out of curiosity. Every so often, I'd go into the section and be like, my book would go there. Just because it was fun. Be like,
Gotta write first.
It's true, but it was fun to imagine it because it's like, okay, my book would be between you and you. What do you write like? It's bad though because my last name is so generic. It's like,
See, it doesn't matter because the important thing is to be on the new releases table every couple of weeks.
That's true. Although I did think of using a pen name.
Yep.
Just because.
Pseudonyms. Hooray.
Yes. So I would toy with that for a bit, and then I'm like, I should write. And then I'd go back to my solitaire game, and then I'd write.
Super Serious Story by Block Samurai.
Ha ha ha. I should use that as my pen name from now on. That way everybody be like, oh, Block Samurai's book! Oh my goodness! Oh! And then the writer picture would be like this block with a little sword.
Flames.
Yes. Like the shirt that I'm wearing. I like that logo.
Good.
It's simple and good.
I spent minutes on it.
Blue. It is really hot in here right now, actually. I don't know why.
I'm cozy.
Good for you. You and your AC unit right by you. Mine's in the other room. Otherwise, we have heard how disastrous it is if I'm in the same room recording with it. You can't hear a darn word that I say.
See, I'm fortunate because my microphone isn't as good as hers, so it doesn't pick up things that are across the room.
Which is kind of funny when you think about it. I didn't spend that much on this one because I got it when I was on super cheap sale. So it was like $10 more than the one that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Which he has the blue Snowball. I've got the blue Yeti. But it's funny because his doesn't pick up as much background noise, which is annoying.
Key.
It's like, It's like you go from really cheap where everything sounds awful, and then you hit like a mark where it's like that perfect spot of cheap, but you don't pick up so much background noise, so you kind of have to talk like right here up to the microphone. And then you go past that to the microphones that pick up anything, and it's like, I don't know. It's annoying. Like, I spent this much money on something that picks up noise that's coming from another room. I wish I could figure out what the background noise is, though. It's from the computer.
Dunno.
It has to be from the computer. What else could it be from? Unless one of the monitors lets out some weird humming fan noise. Do you? I'm going to have to interview and scrutinize the monitors later. Which one of you is making a bunch of noise?
Was it you?
Was it you? Was it you? It could even be the speakers, like the bass speaker or whatever that's on the bottom. Who knows? It's on the floor. I don't know.
Don't know.
Or it could be the PlayStation. No, it's not that.
No.
It's not even
PlayStation doesn't do anything if it's not on.
It's just got the red light of, why aren't you using me? You should use me. Why aren't you using me? I'm sitting here right in front of you. Why don't you use me?
That's what my PlayStation 4 has been saying since I bought it.
Mine hasn't started saying that yet because it's not here yet. I got, what, another month? 2 months?
I don't know.
I can't ever remember if it's June or July that it comes out. I just remember I bought it and probably shouldn't have, but oh well. It's Batman. Which I have a lot of Batman books, like not just comic book graphic novels. I've got like novels. Because you know why not. Yeah, it's true. I've got several down there. I've got a few. One of the crossover books that I really like that I have, since we're going back to the top of the books now, it's X-Men and Star Trek.
Fantastic.
I haven't read it yet, but I had to buy it.
Which Star Trek?
I think it was Next Generation. It might be behind me. I'm not so sure. Now I must look.
I know that at one point they were doing a a graphic novel Star Trek Next Generation Doctor Who crossover.
Oh my goodness. I'm rolling away!
Oh no!
Eh,
Eh,
eh.
eh. Well,
I
well.
found it! I found it!
Ah!
See, it's Star Trek Next Generation. I'm showing him because we've got the webcam. But you guys
Haha.
can't see it. But it's Star Trek Next Generation, X-Men, Planet X. Planet? Planet! It's not a planet, it's a planet.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I saw that and I'm like, ah, yes? Because I have a thing for crossovers. I really like them. And this is just like the craziest crossover you could possibly imagine. Maybe, not quite. But it was unexpected. So I'm like, yes, please. And I only paid $2 for it. Oh, it doesn't have the year on it. Some of these have the year on the tags. Hence why I leave them on there. Not just to see how much I spent, but this one doesn't have the year on it. So I'm a little disappointed.
So that's one of the reasons why I'm interested in building a world and writing multiple stories within that world that don't necessarily have anything to do with each other.
Aw.
Because then you can have the crossover concept.
That's true. And I love the crossover concept.
Yeah, like in the Discworld. Because there are, like, some of the later books especially, you'll have lots of characters showing up.
It all comes full circle!
Like, you'll have characters mentioning other characters by name. It's like, oh yeah, Commander Vimes isn't going to be very happy about that.
It's just fun because if you read it and then you already know who the character is, you get excited because you're like, I know who that is!
Exactly.
It's just so much fun. I've always planned to do that if ever I write a series, because I always think with fantasy and science fiction, I'm going to write this whole series. I'm going to have like this universe, this world. It's going to be awesome. I get halfway through creating it and then I get bored of it and go on to the next thing. Like every other thing. We got like 5 zillion unfinished books. The only books that are finished is from when I first got started into writing, and they are horrible. They're funny though, because it's like, nobody could suffer these many wounds and still be alive. What are you, mad?
What are you, anime?
Ah, seriously. And that was before I started watching anime too.
Oh, jeez.
It's funny though, because whatever book I end up reading, if I read enough of that genre or something, it just like sparks the inspiration to write within that genre.
Yep. I could do that.
The one genre I'm apparently good at, but I will never do, is horror, because I scare myself.
Yep.
Especially if you're downstairs in a room where the wind creaks a tree against the roof, so it's like, it's like, nope, can't write anymore. I'm done. Leave that room and go to the other one. It's funny.
Oh, boy.
Ah.
So how long have we been going for so far?
We've been going for not quite 50 minutes, which is fantastic. It's an actual podcast.
Whoa.
Unlike
It helps.
the short 20-minute. It does. It helps to have a co-host.
Exactly.
It really does. Because the last one that I had a co-host with is like twice the amount of the usual ones, which are like 20 minutes or so. It's like, that's hardly worth downloading.
Yep.
Which, speaking of, I'm going to have to not use SoundCloud because apparently they have like a minute limit, which is stupid. Unless you pay for like the pro plan or whatever. It's like, I'm not spending money on this.
Ick.
So I've halted the uploading for you guys to download the episodes. So I will try to figure out a better place. I don't know.
Well, I think I have a podcast app that you can just download off of YouTube.
Really? I was trying to look earlier, but I was on my phone, and it's really difficult to do that. So
Yeah.
I had to give up.
I can add a YouTube channel.
Well, that is fantastic.
So yeah, anybody who's on Android, just get Podcast Addict. And you can just subscribe to the channel.
Haha!
And it has automatic syncing and downloads, has automatic deletion.
Ooh,
So, like,
that's cool.
after a certain amount of time or after you've listened to it, it can automatically delete.
Which is usually what you want. Because sometimes, I mean, you're not going to listen to it more than once unless you really, really, really like the episode.
Yep. And in that case, you can just favorite it and tell it to keep your favorites.
There you go. It's fantastic.
Yep. It also helps you keep a conversation going if you have a thing with your co-host.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It also helps if you have good chemistry to bounce back and forth from each other.
Mm-hmm.
It helps that we're the same person.
Yes.
Wah!
Wow.
Mind blown. So I think that'll be it, because I still have to render and upload this by midnight. It's 10 o'clock my time.
It'll probably be a little... Well, okay, never mind. You've got an extra hour.
Yeah, so, we should be okay.
Yep.
Maybe.
We shall see.
I should probably stop doing these last minute. So, thanks everybody for watching, listening, whichever one you're doing right now.
Mostly listening, because it's a still graphic on the video, so...
Or I could fool you all and make the graphic slowly move, and then you just stare at it and go, is it moving, or am I just getting cross-eyed?
Oh, jeez.
I could do that. I could be a troll. I won't do that. Or did I? I don't know.
Okay, at this point, everybody's thinking, has it been moving? What's...
Oh, this is going to be so much fun, and everybody's going to hate me. Yeah, hopefully next episode will not be so rushed. And we'll have some questions, which, by the way, you can leave down in the comment section below. I don't know what theme we'll go with next week. What do you think?
Suggest a theme in the comments below.
But
or
then
on the Twitter or whatever.
Either way, if you have me followed on Twitter. If not, that is also in the description below. Oh, bye! Everything's below this video. We're on top of things.
I will probably be a fairly regular guest host from here on.
Go ahead.
So, because, well, for one thing, I think Block likes to have a co-host.
I do. It
and
makes it better.
Doesn't really have to beg me to be involved.
I didn't. I tweeted out, I may need a co-host, and he's like, So I didn't even say anything. He's all like, I volunteer. I'm like, okay.
See? It works out.
It does. It works out great. So.
So yeah, if you want to ask me questions, that's perfectly cool as well.
Plug yourself.
Yes. And if you want to, like I said, suggest a topic. I know about stuff in various topics.
Such stuff. Much knowledge.
I know things about a lot of things.
So if you guys want to follow him on Twitter, you will see that in the description as well. Yes.
Or if you feel like listening instead of reading, it's Durman667. That's my Twitter handle.
That's his Twitter handle. So real easy to find him.
Yep. Super simple.
Mm-hmm. But yeah.
So
thanks,
yeah, well,
everybody.
If we can't, if we don't get any good suggestions,
we're gonna make one up again.
We'll make one up. We will decide on a thing.
Maybe we'll do video games or something like that. I don't know.
We could do video games. We could do movies.
Yeah. We'll figure something out. If not,
we could pick like a thing. Like what we should do. We were talking about watching the Star Wars movies, or more specifically, the Star Wars riff tracks.
Yeah.
So we could do that.
Yeah, that's true. We've already seen 2 of them, episodes 1 and episode 2.
Yep.
It was fun.
And you're off in the evenings, and I'm not working much this next week.
Which is pretty bad.
Yeah.
More time for board games!
More time for working on stuff.
That's true, which you need.
Yeah, if I can actually get to doing it.
Yeah. You can do it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yes, you can. Just do it to it.
Yes. Anyway, thanks for listening, peoples.
And as always, see you next time.